I'm sure you know by now that if you put 100 horsepower Rotax into an airframe limited to 1,320 pounds, you're going to get about 100 knots on 5 gallons an hour, and that precisely describes this airplane, the new Colt light sport aircraft from a company called Texas Aircraft. Here are the basics.
So Texas Aircraft was founded in 2017, and we're based out of the South Regional Airport in Hondo. So the history starts with Caio Jordão back in Brazil, back in 2002. That's when he started building his first aircraft, named Conquest, and then subsequently the 4th generations of the Conquest in Brazil. So Caio is a well-known aircraft designer, and the result of this is the Colt as we see here today. So the Colt, as you see here, is the SL model, right? So the features of this Colt is a high wing design, as you see, all metal airframe, solid metal rivets, welded chromoly safety cell, dual yokes, and the yokes are in hand-stitched leather, as well as the 2 seats. And also we are talking about a full dyno and Skyview package, the dyno HDX with synthetic view, the 2-axis autopilot, and the Galaxy GRS ballistic parachute.
Before we go flying, a quick look at the airplane's construction and the factory. The Colt is built a little like a Mooney with a welded steel cage attached to a conventional monocoque tail section. The control circuitry is a combination of steel tubes and cables. Pretty standard stuff. The factory is vertically organized and they do most of the work in-house. Like most companies these days, Texas Aircraft incorporates some computer numerical control equipment, although not quite as much as Vachon does for its Ranger LSA. The Colt is still largely a hand-built metal airplane. The base price for the LS version is $167,000 complete. Here are the basic specs on the aircraft.
So you've seen the basics of the Texas Colt. And this is what will be the LS version, I guess? The
LSA, yes.
Okay. But the model
yes.
is the LS version. Two versions of it, the S and the LS. So we've done some basic maneuvering and stalls, and you'll see in the B-roll, I'll show you here, the stall characteristics are pretty benign. You got to work pretty hard at it to get any kind of a break. It has a noticeable parachute mode, so that if you hold the elevator back, well, why don't we go ahead and do it? Okay, I have the airplane.
You have the airplane.
And we'll run the flaps to full. And the airplane for a strutted high wing is pretty slick. It really doesn't want to slow down, so you really got to work at it to slow down. So I've got the power back to idle. And let's see, VSO, full flap stall speed is what in this airplane?
Full flap VSO 38.
38, okay, so we're indicating about 36 now. The onset of the buffet. What you hear there is the angle of attack indicator, basically pitching up. Okay, now, so we're in the stall. There is no brake. We're in the parachute mode. And you can see that the nose drops through, the nose recovers. I'm using a little bit of rudder to level the wings, but not much. And the descent rate varies between about 900 and about 150. And it'll do this all day. And the recovery is just relax the back pressure. Really don't bring much power, and the flaps can come up. And I noticed turning stalls are the same way. You really have to work to get any kind of a brake on it. It's very docile. And I had mentioned to Umberto that the control forces in this are not typical LSA. It has a yoke, which you'll see from the cockpit shots. But it's heavier in roll than most LSAs. That's a good thing, because I think most LSAs are too light. Pitch is about LSA-like, but a little heavier than most, and the rudders are the rudders. Let's talk a little bit, Umberto, about typical performance. Okay, so this is 100 horsepower Rotax. It's the ULS.
Correct.
The airplane is the airplane. It's about the weight of an LSA, so it's going to have typical LSA performance.
Yeah, Bert's 12 o'clock.
Okay.
Got him?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what is that performance typically? Let's go to a cruise setting here, which is going to be high 4,000s. What should we expect to see?
Normally I like to cruise at about 100 to 105 true, burning just about 5 gallons an hour. And you know, it's fast enough for me. Anything faster than that, I don't like to go too fast. It gets a little more twitchy, it gets bumpier, and you're just burning a lot more fuel than you need. 100 to 105 true is a good cruise for me on this airplane.
Okay, so I'm setting up here towards, we'll take it right up to 5,000, which is a good place to put it. And we'll get all trimmed out. And we have, I believe it's 33 gallons of fuel, 32 gallons?
It's about 31 gallons total.
Okay.
Just over 31.
So at even 6 gallons an hour, that's 5 hours of endurance. That's pretty good.
Probably longer.
And again, that's fairly typical LSA performance. Okay, so right at 5,000, we're showing a true airspeed. It's Texas. It's summer, so there's a lot of turbulence. So we're 102, 103, somewhere in that range. And that's right at 6 gallons. Now, if we're going to do an economy cruise,
4,800 RPM.
4,800, okay, so we'll bring it back to 4,800 and let it slow down. And while we're slowing down here, a little comment on the cabin. The size of the cabin here is it's close to, and maybe even exceeds a 172. So if you're thinking of this in terms of a 150, it's a lot wider than a 150. 4.5 leg room is good. Most LSAs, or a lot of LSAs, don't have sliding adjustable seats. This one does not have adjustable rudders, I assume.
Correct.
So there's plenty of leg room for me, so I had to pull the seat forward. Width-wise, it's really quite comfortable. There's no tendency to bump shoulders whatsoever. Okay, so we're back to our economy cruise here. I'm at 5 gallons an hour. And again, it's a little difficult in this turbulence to keep the airplane pitch under control, but it's going to be about 90 to 95 knots.
About 95 true, yeah.
Okay, so at 5 gallons, that's a solid 6 hours, so call that 5 1/4 with reserve, so that's pretty good.
Some observations on landings in the Colt. Light sport airplanes with light pitch and roll forces aren't pleasant to land because they're so easy to over control, especially in gusty conditions. With its heavier control forces, the Colt dodges that problem, but it has another one. It takes determination to slow it down for landing, and it really needs to be slow. With a 38 knot stall speed, the standard 1.3 VSO is 49 knots. It will safely fly that slow on short final, but you have to remind yourself that it's okay to be that slow. Even 55 knots is way the hell too fast, and the airplane will float as a result.
I did one landing before in the Colt, and I found that it really doesn't want to slow down. For a strutted high wing, it is very slick. So this time I'm going to use a slightly slower approach and see if that works out a little bit better. Landing was okay, it was just a bit on the floaty side. A little better, but you know what? If I were flying this thing all day, I'd slow it up even more.
Yeah, I slow it down quite a bit.
I bet you can easily do 50, right?
Yes, sir. You want to try again? You want to just go for it?
Yeah, I'll try again.
Go for it.
Okay, here we go. Touch and go.
You can find a full review on the Colt in the September 2019 issue of Aviation Consumer at aviationconsumer.com. For AvWeb, I'm Paul Bertorelli reporting. Thanks for watching.